Hello and welcome to another edition of the Gadget Show with myself, Usman, and our resident gadget expert, Raman. As you all know, we've been doing the show for quite a while now, and you're getting used to the format. We're going to tell you about all the new things that are going on in the world of technology. We have stuff in the studio that we want to show you. We're going to test it out for you and tell you what are the best things to get and what are the best things to avoid. Welcome, Raman.
Hi, Usman.
Resident expert, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Feeling good.
Feeling good. As always, we're going to start with a little bit of news that's new. Fill us in.
Absolutely. I think. Have you ever played or used the Sony PSP?
Yes, I owned one of the first generation ones.
Good
I had
stuff.
one.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sony has launched which is called the Sony PSP Vita, which is the next generation of their portable gaming console, and that is it is a bit late to the market, but unfortunately for viewers who are watching in the UK, we are expecting a launch of that to happen along with the US in February.
Okay.
So it has got launched in Japan, and from the initial news and press releases that we've got to see, it has broken records in terms of sales records. So I think on the first week of trading, it has sold about 300 some thousand consoles. Okay. The basic things about why it is different is obviously that's 3D. As we all know that 3D technology is now percolating down from TVs into monitors and a couple of other things. Sony has brought this on to the Sony PSP. Before this, Nintendo actually introduced the 3DS. Yes. And obviously that's been, I think, a good, it's got a good uptake, but it's not for serious gamers. So it boasts of something which is called the 3D technology. It also has things like a great battery life, which was a bit of a disappointment in the previous consoles. I personally own a Sony PSP 3000, which came with the GoCam editions. And if you look at this, so they've improved a certain aspect and certain features on the new ones that they've launched. But again, a disappointment from a fact that it still does not make phone calls. It still has limited compatibility and ecosystem in terms of, you can play games over Wi-Fi, you can do all that, but obviously limited compatibility when you look at mobile gaming. So with the touchpads, the tablets getting into this frame, mobile gaming has become quite big. So all in all, a new product launch from them. They introduced the first one in 2004, and the latest one, which has come out now, I would say 2011-12. It's a bit of a disappointment, but that was one of the big news in the Japanese market.
Okay, for those who don't know,
yeah,
जिन लोगों को नहीं पता, obviously this 3D technology, जिसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. So you said it's moved on to the handheld device. For someone who has no idea of this 3D technology, do you need to wear glasses? It may be a silly question, but is it this 3D technology that you're talking about? Does it require the use of glasses?
No. When you look at gaming consoles like the Nintendo 3DS, and you look at the PSP, and you look at any other technology which kind of boasts of a 3D viewing capability, you don't need to wear glasses. At least from the ones that I know personally, and we've reviewed some of them, so we clearly know you don't need. There's a button which kind of switches on the 3D mode, and that allows you to play games in 3D. 3D basically means it gives you depth and view in terms of images that you see. So they are projected out of the screen to a slight, to a certain extent. So screen से बाहर आ रही होती हैं थोड़ी सी images, and उसकी वजह से आपको जो depth दिखती है games खेलते हुए, and which is quite nice.
Yeah, because when the whole 3DS thing was going on, I looked into it and I thought, oh, 3D, and I was like, maybe I have to wear glasses. But to be fair, I have had a look at it, yes, and it does provide good depth. So if you've not had a play around with it, if you've not had a chance to look at these kind of things, when it does hit the market in February, go into the shops, actually look to see, what's so good about it, or you can go and check the 3DS at the moment. The only other question I was going to ask.
We have a screenshot that we can show on the screen, which is a Sony Vita, which is, we'll bring you this, no, not this one, the Sony Vita.
Yeah.
There's another screenshot. This one, yeah, this one.
Obviously, fair enough. You've got, this game console, which is designed specifically just for gaming. Aajkal, we have phones, and games are so common on the phones. Is there a big enough market for this kind of thing?
Well,
is it going to make that much money, realistically?
It's a very good question. Well, you have to look at the market from two aspects. There are traditional gamers, and there are people who are getting exposed to this phenomenon of mobile gaming. Now, people who have used some of these devices before will want to try this out because, one, you've got a little bit of loyalty towards these devices, you've grown up with them, and obviously you know that this is something out there and it is coming. Yeah. So companies create a lot of hype around it. But the other way of looking at it is that a lot of people have actually got used to mobile gaming because of tablets which have come in. And for them, they don't know of these technologies. And I think, in a way, this is my own opinion, is that these consoles have a declining market. Yeah. Because people are looking at bigger screens. This Sony Vita has a 5-inch OLED screen, so the clarity and resolution is very good on this. But when you compare that 5-inch screen with a tablet which is 8-inch or a 10-inch screen, I think you get a better gaming experience. Yes, it's a bit personal, so you might have a personal, I would say, take on this, that I like something small, neat, which is in my arm. Palm of my hands, and I can take it along quite easily. But when you look at kids, they would prefer this because they can put it in their school bags and they have a whole thing around it. But all in all, I think it's a dwindling market.
Just playing devil's advocate for a second. मैं जाके खरीदूं, I'm assuming it's going to be 100-200 pound की चीज़ है.
I think it will
ये खासकर जाके खरीदूं फिर उसकी games पता नहीं 20-30 pound की आएंगी.
Yes.
Whereas if you've got one phone, you pay £1 for a game, £2 for a game. If you're going to lose one thing, you might as well lose it. But how many different things are you going to lose?
I totally agree. From whatever I have in front of me, when I look at the press release, obviously there is one thing which is quite certain, that Sony has introduced a hard drive version of this before, which had a slider keyboard and keys that you could use. But all in all, this is a declining market. So a phone for me does gaming, does this, does that, Internet, does surfing, everything.
All in one.
For this, if you're buying, you can do surfing, you can do gaming, but it's not a phone, probably not a good camera, and there is limited capability. So this is oriented towards gamers. Yeah. And as a mass market device, you're looking at something like a tablet, which probably is a newspaper, an e-reader, a game device, and a fun device for the whole family. So there's a slight differentiation in the market segmentation.
So
all in all, declining market, I say.
Overall, in our opinion, if you're going to get something, probably go towards a tablet.
I think you should go towards a tablet.
Unless you're a very much hardcore gamer, you're a big fan of PSP, you've always had them all, then maybe it might be something for you. But in terms of, obviously, if you a one-stop shop device, economically it works out better to get a tablet.
Definitely, yes.
Right, moving on.
I think the second bit of thing is related to 3D technology. So when you look at 3D TVs, it's the other way around. When you look at monitors, we started having CRT monitors, then we had TFT monitors, LCD monitors, LED monitors. But the trend started with 3D TVs, and now it is going down to monitors. I remember my days when I was schooling. People used to have a Mac, or people used to have a big, large 23-inch monitor because they were in graphics, it was a studio and stuff like that. But today, you have 3D monitors coming in at very affordable prices. And the next big thing coming to monitors, TFT monitors, when you look at, is 3D monitors. Because a lot of content that we get from the internet, software, otherwise, they are all designed for 2D. So 3D monitors have now started coming to the market, and I guess we'll see a big launch of a big foray of launches in the forthcoming CES, which will happen in Las Vegas in January next year. And one of the monitors that we did pick up for news, first to the market to announce, was LG, and we have a screenshot of that on our TV, wherein they have introduced 3D monitors which have an IPS technology, in-plane switching technology, which means that if you have content which is 2D, you can switch on one of the modes, and it instantly turns that content into a 3D content. Wow. And that is where you get to see that these monitors will become popular, and we'll start seeing them coming to our homes and in front of PCs and stuff like that.
The other thing, obviously been scouring the net. Aajkal 3D cameras are becoming very popular, very affordable as well.
Yes.
Video cameras, also still cameras. They come with 2 lenses at the front.
Yes.
It's becoming very affordable now. They become quite cheap.
I think what we're seeing is, if you ask me, there's a transition which is happening. So the transition is happening quite fast because the technology has been, I would say, it's not late to the market, but it's a relatively new addition. But what is happening is the ramping of that technology is happening quite fast. So you will see implementation of 3D that we have already seen, one on TVs, We've seen the phone. There's another phone that we want to get hold of, which is the LG Nitro, which has got released in the US, and that's one of the 3D phones which is recently got launched in the Christmas holiday season. So it's come to TVs, it's come to phones, now it's going to monitors. It has been on the consoles, so you had the 3DS, you have PSP now coming in, and I think there will be games available, or there are games available which will have that technology going forward for PS3, Xbox, and a couple of others. So 3D you have 3D projectors which are available already. So there's a whole foray of fields or sectors in which this technology is going.
It's the way forward.
It's the way forward. Yes, definitely the way forward. Right, moving on to the last bit of news. I guess we spoke about the Nokia Lumia, and obviously if you look at the ecosystems, the Android, the iOS, and the Windows Phone, one of the reasons why the uptake of I do feel one of the reasons why the uptake of the phone is, as compared to the others, is a bit less, is because of the number of applications available. So as promised, I think they are now on the heels of releasing the Launchpad, which is basically the the developers version of the operating system, which will allow developers to develop games, applications, and then test and then bring it to market. So the Windows Phone market today has about, I think, what, 50,000 applications. The Android has about 400,000 plus. And then you have the iPhone, iOS ecosystem, which is 500,000 and more. And that is where the uptake of phones, and even the BlackBerry, when you look at the BlackBerry RIM market, they have limited number of applications. And that is where I think the uptake will start happening, with developers getting into the mode of developing apps and games and things like that, which will start driving the demand for that phone. I think there are interesting pieces of news, but one of the other bit which we picked up is a lot of us know Steve Jobs, and know in the sense that we've seen him change our lives with the products that he's brought across, and he's been posthumously awarded the Grammys in line with a couple of others. So this particular company has so much happening around it that it refuses to go away from news. So it's one bit or the other, product, company, person, and you always find something or the other to pick up in the news. So for Steve Jobs fans, I think they're going to be delighted that he's been awarded a Grammy. So
we're going to take a quick call. Hello?
Hi, good evening. This is Firdaus speaking from Dewsbury.
Hi.
Could you please tell me, I'm not sure if I am, this is, you can give me this information. I am looking for the software, Urdu teaching and resources in the classrooms. Have you got any information, or can you tell me where I can buy it?
Okay. The software that you're trying to use, are you trying to type in Urdu as well? Is that what you want to use it for?
Yeah, typing Urdu as well, and also, the resources for all 4 components, like speaking, writing.
Okay, so as an aid to teaching the language?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for your call, Firdaus. Right, Raman. Probably something we haven't got to hand, but we can definitely do the research for you and find out. So if you stay tuned to our show, obviously in the next week or so, we will definitely get that information for you. We'll log it. Obviously, all the questions that anyone asks, we do log, and obviously we try and keep up to date. So every time you see a show and you think, oh, I wonder why they mentioned that, it's probably because someone's contacted us via the website, or they've rang in, etc., to ask specific questions. So that's why we'll definitely in future weeks, for those, find out the best software for you. We might give you a range of softwares, whatever. But for now, thank you very much for your call, and in future shows we will definitely address that one.
I think that question that she's asked out of the blues, and it's caught me by surprise. But there are a few softwares available in the market which are a complete pack. So as you can learn, any other language like French, but this is a specific pack because it's a different language, left to right, right to left. Yeah. And the phonetics of the language are quite complex. What I would request is, if you keep, we can't pick out any one particular software at this particular moment, but if you log on to our website, maybe after the show, we'll try and put some information across there for you to see if there are any out there that we can bring across.
Right. 2 interesting pieces of news very quickly before we move on to reviewing particular products is, for those of you that may I'll wait. I'll make you wait a little while longer. We've got a little commercial break. We'll be back because we are going to be testing some very interesting products. Welcome back to the Gadget Show, and we have a wonderful demo lined up for you. A lot of people, first thing in the morning after you've woken up, you're still a bit groggy. The thing that most people need to get them going for the day is either a cup of tea, or in the case of this next product, is a shot of coffee.
Coffee, yes. We've tried out a couple of machines, from DeLonghi, the Nespresso, and this one that we've got here for the product review of for this particular episode is the Faviola from AEG. Coffee. Do you like coffee?
Me, not particularly a fan of coffee, to be honest.
Right. I think some of us, keeping in mind the season, when you look at winters, you're wanting to cozy up and you want to keep yourself warm. A lot of us sip coffee. And we have various reasons for, some of us like tea, some of us like coffee. But I think in particular, if I have a good coffee served to me, I would love a cuppa. So what we're going to do is obviously try this machine out in the studio and try and see, does it come up to the expectation of being an Italian coffee? As they say, there are different coffee machines out there in the market. And let me give you a quick background. The first coffee machine came out probably 125 years back. And it was introduced by the French. And from then on, we've moved on quite a lot in terms of technology. We've seen the coffee machines in terms of the sizes going down to something which is quite manageable. It can be in your kitchen. And when you look at buying a coffee machine, it's not something quite, it is, let me put it this way, it is something quite expensive. But the prices have considerably come down in the last couple of years. And depending on the taste and the type of coffee machine you want to buy, you can probably get something from as low as about £99 to as high as about, I would say, the ones which are available commercially in the market for about, I think, £380, £400. Coffee, over the years, has had many flavors. So we've got a machine which typically brews coffee for you and tries to create an espresso or I would say a coffee which you can have at home using the machine. Now what we'll do is, before we get into making the coffee, I'm going to tell you 3 or 4 things. If you're looking at buying a coffee machine from the market, what all you should look at. I think the one that I bought a couple of years back, I have an Nespresso, one that I bought a couple of years back is quite noisy. So एक चीज़ जो आपने ध्यान रखनी है वो ये रखनी है कि इसकी आवाज़ कम हो. दूसरी चीज़, it should be quite easy to clean. Obviously most of these coffee machines use a capsule, and obviously once the coffee is made, it basically, dirties the machine internally. So you need to be very sure and aware that whatever you're buying, one, it makes less noise, is quite easy to clean. And obviously when you look at buying this kind of a machine, you need to look at things like, what kind of coffee it makes. So obviously when you look at this particular machine that we've got in the studio today, it has the capability of adding some water. You can produce steam, and obviously it creates a coffee. The last thing that you need to look at, which I'm looking at, is that in most machines, after you use it for a certain while, they need a descaler. So you should have a descaler. That means it does away with the particles and the taste and the aroma of it, and leaves the machine clean and reusable. So all in all, when you look at this, it's quite a compact machine. The one that I have is approximately this big, and some people use machine. They like coffee, but they like decaf. Some of them I would say I like a good coffee which is creamy, frothy, things like that. So you have a steaming device in the machine. But some of us who like decaf can then buy different capsules in the market, and the ones that we've got with this have different flavors, obviously. And when you look at these, some of them are decaf, some of them give you rich, creamy coffee, and some of them are quite strong. So let's try and attempt and make a coffee. Yeah, are you in the mood to make some coffee?
Yeah, we'll give it a try. Have you got what different flavors have we got there?
I think there is a sachet which has come along, which allows you to pick
Select.
Different.
Okay, yeah. You try one, and then I will pick one for myself from here.
When we looked at the machine, obviously we looked at the build of the machine, we looked at how noisy is it, what features it comes with, and obviously the price. And the most important thing is, most of these machines, because they give you instant coffee, they use a lot of electricity. So we also looked at a machine and put it on a scale wherein are these machines, they save electricity. So for example, if you're not using it for a while, then it automatically switches off. So all in all, because I've tried this a bit before, I'm going to go in for something which is, you know, a cream coffee. And you insert the capsule, you put this in, bring the lid down, put the cup up, and just press this button. And then as you can see, it starts making a coffee. Now, depending on the strength, you know, how would you, I would put it this way, how do you like your coffee? Do you like it strong? Do you like it light? Or do you like it creamy with a nice little halo on top? So it's all about flavors, and there are different flavors which come along with different machines, and different capsules are available. For me, I think this is strong enough. I can smell the coffee already. It is strong enough, and what I'm going to do is press this button again, and that should stop. The thing that I noticed about this machine is that when you look at noise levels, they are measured in decibels. So most of these machines are between noise levels of, you know, I would say 50 to about 99. The lesser the noise level, the more expensive the machine. They're available in different colors, and I made a coffee here. As you can see, I don't know whether we can zoom that in or not, but the way I look at it, it is a lovely coffee with a good halo on it. It's creamy, it's frothy, it's not sticking to the cup that often, and obviously it smells absolutely fantastic. I know you don't like coffee, but you know, I think when you look at the flavors,
it's a very, very distinct, strong coffee smell.
Strong coffee smell. And so we found this machine to be quite good in the sense that we've reviewed the Nespresso and we've looked at the Faviola from AEG. We would probably give it 3 out of 5 on the benchmarks that we've looked at, the energy rating, the noise level, how easy is it to use, how easily are the capsules available. One of the things which I've noticed is when I ended up buying the Nespresso machine, the capsules were not that easily available. So you run out of these quite easily. And when you're making a coffee, you're basically making a coffee and you don't want to be bothered about what's the cost of this machine, but it's actually the sachets or the capsules that you buy from the market. So if you have these available easily for a machine that you're buying and they're quite affordable, I think all in all, it's a good investment if you enjoy coffee. And I think you will probably like some of the new flavors which keep coming out from these companies. I really don't think that they can replicate the coffee that I have probably outside, you know, in Costa Cafe or Starbucks but it comes quite close, quite close. I'm going to try and sip this and see. It's a very strong coffee, and I think all in all it gives you that taste which you want to get, and that early morning shot that you need.
So while Raman continues to enjoy his coffee, we're going to move on to the next product. We have here, if we look across to this side, is the Battlefront 3.
Yep.
Is that the branding of it?
I think that is it. The main thing, it is called the Vault.